Groundhog Day is here. See what one local groundhog's prediction was on our spring chances this year. Also, a man last seen in the Madison area is on the run from authorities, what we know so far. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 5:30. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. One person is dead and 3 others are seriously injured after a high-speed chase in Caledonia yesterday afternoon. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office say a deputy attempted to stop a vehicle going westbound. The vehicle failed to pull over and it sped up to over 100 miles per hour. It was unable to get around an exit ramp due to its high speed and a rollover crash occurred. 2 people were ejected from the vehicle. One was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 passengers and the driver were transported to local area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. A Madison man has been declared AWOL from Dane County Sheriff's Office Jail Division Program. Sean M. Garrell was last seen in the Madison area Friday night. Garrell is serving a sentence for resisting and fleeing from an officer. Anyone with any information on his whereabouts should call the Dane County Communications Center at 608-255-2345. A 44-year-old man is arrested after allegedly driving away from a traffic stop in Stoughton Friday night. Stoughton police say around 8 p.m., officers stopped chasing the man as he was allegedly driving recklessly in a residential neighborhood. The vehicle later crashed, rolling over and landing on its roof. Stoughton Fire and EMS pulled the man from the vehicle and took him to the hospital. He was then booked into Dane County Jail on eluding an officer and possession of a controlled substance, as well as other charges. Now let's get a look at your certified most accurate forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, how does it feel out there?
Not too bad. We've got the clear skies. We didn't get them earlier in the day, so that's why temperatures, fortunately or unfortunately, did not get into those upper 40s to low 50s, but it was still a mild day regardless across central and southern Wisconsin. Take a look at our high temperatures today. Upper 30s to about the upper 40s. In Platteville, we got to 47, 45 in Prairie du Chien, 43 Lone Rock Mineral Point. Around 37 for those of us in Juneau. 40 was our high temperature in Madison. Now overnight we are going to watch as snow moves on in and continues to impact where you're seeing those purple counties there the most as we go into your Monday as well. Those are winter weather advisories. None issued, at least for now, across the News 3 Now coverage area. And on Future Track you can see most of that snow really stays north of even Camp Douglas, around Black River Falls, Watoma, maybe dealing with some minor accumulations, but everybody else south of that, we're looking at mostly cloudy conditions and a light rain-snow mix as we go into your Monday. Future Track snow totals keep it very minimal once you get south of the Dells. Further to the north, looking at a quarter to maybe a half an inch at best. Additionally, we're going to be dealing with fog as we go into your Monday morning. We put this on Facebook so you can share this with any of your friends or family so that they know that for the morning commute, as you're taking the kids to school as well, you're going to be dealing with some of that patchy fog. 30s tonight. We are looking at cooler, more seasonal temperatures into next week, as well as another chance for a wintry mix on Wednesday. We're tracking it out in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you in just a few. Today is Groundhog's Day. Our very own Jimmy from Sunbury predicted an early spring. But how accurate are the groundhog's forecast? Our Tanasia Shaw has more.
For 60 years, Sun Prairie's very own Jimmy the Groundhog has helped us find out if we're going to get 6 weeks of winter or spring.
Early spring, woohoo!
I am absolutely jazzed.
This year, Jimmy didn't see his shadow, and Wisconsinites aren't upset about the results. Why do you prefer warm weather?
Because it's so sunny and nice. I like spring because it's warmer. I don't really like cold weather.
I love early spring. I'm a spring and summer person.
I also asked Jimmy's fans how much they trust his weather predictions. How much do you trust Jimmy? A lot or a little bit?
A lot.
I'm like a 75% trust rate in Jimmy.
Jimmy and I have done these 14 times together, and I trust him. He's a good guy.
If I could make Jimmy best man at my wedding, I would. I trust him.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, better known as NOAA, Jimmy is the 6th most accurate animal weather prophet out of 19 groundhogs.
Well, I think those ratings are wrong, so.
There's a lot of competition out there. 6 isn't too bad.
If you're wondering, Pennsylvania's Punxsutawney Phil ranked 17 with 35% accuracy. Jimmy has 60%.
I want to see him get his number up a little bit. I want to see him work on his stats. But I think he's got potential, yeah.
Even Jimmy himself was surprised by the ranking.
Noah said you are number 6.
Even though Jimmy isn't number 1, he's still a trusted source for locals.
I love Jimmy.
No, he's always right.
Reporting in Sun Prairie, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanasia, thank you. I'm one of those people that want an early spring as well. Well, coming up next on News 3 Now at 5:30, a local organization is looking for board members to keep their mission of helping veterans alive. Our Merrill Hubbard shares how we can help.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5:30.
Thank you for staying with us. Well, are you looking for ways to help Wisconsin veterans in need? Stand Down Madison, a local nonprofit that gives resources to unhoused veterans, has spots open for people to step in and help. Our Merrill Hubbard spoke with its current leaders to see why they need more volunteers.
What should we do? Where are we going to find someone we need? I don't want this to stop.
Angie Nichols says she's taking a step back from Stand Down Madison after being the president since 2020. The organization helps U.S. veterans who are living on the street get the resources they need to live. Stand Down does this by hosting an event every October that provides people with clothing, food, and resources for housing, employment, and health care. After years of helping others, Angie says she's at a time in her life where she needs to take care of herself. So her goal is to pass the baton to someone who will care for this organization just as she has.
Nobody else can color if I don't put the crayons down. I've got to put the crayons down to see somebody else make it better.
Stand Down Madison is recruiting a whole new board where they need a president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. They say without this leadership, the main October event may not happen this year. Reporting in Madison, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Merrill, thank you. If you are interested to volunteer for Stand Down Madison, you can find more information on our website at channel3000.com. And coming up next, Blaze returns with a complete look of your First One forecast.
News 3 Now at 5:30.
President Trump has signed an executive order that imposes steep new tariffs on goods from Mexico, Canada, and China. Canada responded hours later with retaliatory tariffs of its own, while Mexico said it was also planning to issue tariffs on the U.S. as well. CBS's Chanel Call reports from New York.
President Trump declared an economic emergency in order to place duties of 10% on all imports from China and 25% on imports from Mexico and Canada. The tariffs are set to go into effect on Tuesday. The president's actions involving the largest U.S. trade partners drew swift condemnation from Democratic leaders.
I think we might want to call this the Donald Trump Super Bowl tax, with the big game coming next week. If you know, avocados, tomatoes, beer from Mexico, price is going to go up.
What's that going to mean? Higher prices. Higher prices for New Yorkers, higher prices for Americans. It's going to affect almost everything.
Tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
On social media, President Trump wrote that tariffs were necessary to protect Americans, to pressure the three nations to do more to curb the manufacture and export of illicit fentanyl. He also wants Canada and Mexico to reduce illegal immigration into the U.S.
Absolutely. Fentanyl through Canada, human trafficking through Canada, also with China in that mix for fentanyl as well.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pushed back.
Our border is already safe and secure, but there's always more work to do. Less than 1% of fentanyl, less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States come from Canada.
Trudeau also said Canada would slap 25% tariffs on up to $155 billion on goods, including alcohol and fruit. Chanel Call, CBS News, New York.
In addition, energy imported to the U.S. from Canada, including oil, natural gas, and electricity, would be taxed at a rate of 10% under the Trump tariffs. Mexico's President, Claudia Sheinbaum, ordered retaliatory tariffs on a range of U.S. goods. Let's get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
We are going to watch as a light rain-snow mix moves in for your Monday. Before that, cloudy conditions and fog will take on over. We touched on that at the beginning of the newscast. And then we look ahead to Wednesday. That's when we're continuing to see our next system in our series of systems to impact us. So let's jump ahead and look at what the two long-range models think might happen. We're not quite in that time frame where we start to see our shorter range models as well as our long range models look at this system. It's still more or less too far out. But the European model, if you want that snow, if you want that rain snow mix, you want the European model's interpretation. If you're kind of tired of the snow, if you're tired of the rain-snow mix, then you want more of the GFS's interpretation. Both ones will bring us snow. It's just the European model is going to bring us a little bit more snow, to say the least. There's a lot more moisture with the European model. So some of the estimates are ranging from 2 to 4 inches to maybe upwards of 4 to 6 inches of snow. I wouldn't necessarily focus on those numbers because things are still going to change. Models are still going to either become more in a disagreement or at least agree on something. I would focus on which one is going to bring us the potential for more snow, and that's the European model. The GFS, because there's not a lot of moisture to work with, it's a little bit more dry, we're not as likely to see a lot of impactful snow out of that interpretation. We're looking at less than an inch for most of the coverage area. So, why is this happening? Why are they not in agreement? Well, we have to look at the pressure. I've talked about this before, but what we really want, this strong low pressure systems, we want them to have a closed center or become a closed low. And that's what we see right here with the European model. This is the center of that system over the Chicagoland area. This indicates a strong low pressure system. It has a very healthy system to work with. Whereas if we look at the GFS model at the same time, we lose that closed low. It's very weak. It's not as organized. So there's not a lot of upward motion in the atmosphere to get either the rain, the snow, or the mix of both. So this is why the GFS is showing less of an impactful system, because it is really interpreting that. We don't see that closed low. So in the coming days, Monday into Tuesday, our long-range models will start to become more in agreement, and our shorter-range models will also start to pick up on the system. So stay with News 3 Now. We'll keep you updated, but at least I would bet on, in some capacity, a little bit of snow and a little bit of a rain-snow mix. And then as we look even beyond into kind of the middle of February, it does look like there is growing confidence that at least from the 10th through the 16th, we have about a 70 to maybe 80% chance of sitting underneath cooler than average temperatures. So maybe Jimmy wasn't correct. Maybe we're not going to have an early spring with this cool down coming towards the end of February or at least the middle of February. However, we could still easily see some warmer days, and we might start spring early. We'll just have to see. But at least in the meantime, upper 30s to low 40s for your Monday. Keep in mind there is going to be that fog, so we may see some dense fog advisories issued here later this evening for your Monday. A light chance for snow both Monday and Tuesday. That system that we were just talking about arrives later Wednesday, overnight into Thursday. And then the system after that Saturday would be our next big system. But again, Jalen and folks at home, that one is just still too far out. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that, but like Wednesdays, that one is kind of showing two different stories, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it, but then maybe some cooler temperatures follow into the following work week.
I'd be careful talking about Jimmy. As you saw in today's story, he has quite a rabid fan base.
60% over 20 years. Hey. Puxatani has a 30%, 35% because he's been doing it for almost 200 years. There's room for error.
I'm just saying, one of them said,
and I'm just saying,
they wanted Jimmy in their wedding. So.
I went to school to study this. He just climbed out of a hole.
Man. All right, fair enough. Quick question.
Yes.
You a big music fan?
Yeah, always. Always listening to music.
Grammys are tonight.
Yes.
Anybody you want to see win?
I actually don't know anybody who's up.
That's fair.
So I hope they all win.
I hope Beyonce wins Album of the Year.
That would be
finally
it would be a good album to win, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, sounds good. I think you're going to want to watch this next story. Thank you, Blaze. Music's biggest night is just a couple hours away, and the industry's major stars are starting to flood the red carpet. Danya Backus is also on the red carpet in LA with a preview of tonight's show.
Music's biggest stars are making their way to the red carpet for the 67th Grammy Awards.
There's nothing like the Grammys. The Grammys are the pinnacle of music achievement.
It is a celebration of music, a story that tells the true expression of people.
Producers are promising a night full of spectacular performances, bringing a concert into your living room.
I get to perform to everyone at home, but I also get to perform for my colleagues and the people I love.
The Queen Bee, Beyonce, leads with 11 nominations, though she holds the record for most Grammys won by any artist. Tonight, for the 5th time, she'll compete for a Grammy she's never won, Album of the Year.
We say every year this could be the year for Beyonce.
But the competition is stiff. She's up against Taylor Swift, plus other top-nominated artists like Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Billie Eilish, Chappell Roan, and Jacob Collier.
The thing I love about the Grammys is that it's voted for by my peers, by other musicians. That always feels nice because it feels like the makers are celebrating the makers.
While there's excitement here on the red carpet, there is also a sense of purpose. This year's show will pay tribute to first responders and victims of the wildfires that ripped through Los Angeles last month.
Let's give joy to the people that consume the music and the projects that are created here in this place that was burning.
Trevor Noah returns as host of the Grammys.
It's probably the best concerts of the year. Where else are you going to have the best in country, the best in hip-hop, the best in pop, the best in R&B, all on the same stage, all on the same night?
One of the highlights of the show will be a special tribute to late music producer Quincy Jones. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
You can watch the 67th Grammy Awards right here on our network. That starts at 7 p.m. And still to come in sports, Giannis tells us why, if you push him and his buttons, you're not always going to be Mr. Nice Guy, coming from the Greek Freak. Next on News 3 Now.
During the Bucks' loss to the Spurs on Friday night, Giannis apparently took issue with San Antonio's point guard Chris Paul, who appeared to trip or push the Greek Freak in the third quarter. After falling, Giannis immediately started jawing at Paul. You can see the play right here. Giannis falls to the ground and immediately points at the point guard. And after the game, you'll see in a minute, Giannis decided, how about we talk about this after the game? So when the final horn blared, Giannis met the 12-time All-Star at half court. Nothing ended up happening, but Giannis did want to make very clear if this ever happens again, there's a reason he's not always going to be Mr. Nice Guy.
They haven't tried me. You got to try me. People that know me, they don't try me. If you try me, it's a different side. Yeah, so if you try me, you're going to get that different side of me. Yeah, okay. At the end of the day, I think we're all men. We all respect one another, and if words cross the line, then there's got to be consequences.
But Giannis's anger pales in comparison to what is being called the most shocking trade in NBA history. Late last night, the Dallas Mavericks traded their mega superstar, Luka Doncic, to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis and a first-round pick. We'll get more to that later. An insane day in the sports world. Staying on the basketball court, Wisconsin women's basketball snapped an 8-game losing streak their last time out and did it against a good Michigan team. Their opponent this afternoon was Purdue, who's played 10 games in the Big Ten and lost all 10 of them. On paper, it's a perfect runway to turning this season around, get their second straight win, and we're going to jump right to the fourth quarter. Wisconsin trailing 57-54, and Sarah Williams feeds Carter McRae, making this a 1-point game with less than 10 minutes to go. Williams finished with a game-high 27, but the Boilermakers responded to that bucket with a 13-3 run, putting this one way out of reach. Wisconsin loses 84-71, handing Purdue their first Big Ten win. And we'll be right back.
This is a win Purdue had to have. A loss today would have eliminated.
So, Andrew, a little bit off camera, we were talking about the Pro Bowl. Is this the highest scoring Pro Bowl game that we've seen up to date?
Yeah, it sounds more like an NBA All-Star score in terms of the outrageousness. 76-63, the final score. The NFC wins. Josh Jacobs did a little bit. He scored a 1-point conversion, which it's the Pro Bowl. We're not going to try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, the little bit that I did watch.
I did too.
A quick check of the forecast before we head on out.
Some fog and cloudy conditions tonight. We're hanging out right around freezing, and then we stick with the clouds and the morning fog into your Monday.
Sounds good. We'll see you back here at 10.